All right, let's talk about how we name 3D figures. And you might be able to see that on my board here I've got two names. I've got prisms and I've got pyramids, and that's two of the major groups of 3D figures. Now, prisms have the same shape on the front and back, and they're connected by usually rectangular faces. So an example of a prism would be, let's say I start with a triangle at the front, and I have another triangle. I'm going to use dashed lines to show that we could kind of see through that in the back here. And I would connect them with rectangular faces. So I've got a triangle in the front and a triangle in the back, and I've connected that with rectangles. So we name this as a triangular prism because it has triangles in the front and back. Now you might say, well, what happens if we have a rectangle in the front and a rectangle in the back? Well, let's draw one of those. So it's all connected. All these faces that are connecting it in between here are rectangles. So this would be a rectangular prism. Okay. So triangular prism, rectangular prism. Now then, if I had squares, you could call it a square prism. Some people, I guess, would. You could also call that a rectangular prism because remember, all squares are rectangles, but most of the time we call those cubes. Okay, but because now cubes are a special type of rectangular prism because every single face of a cube is a square. Okay, so cubes are rectangular prisms, but they're a very special type of rectangular prisms. Okay, so the prisms, it's basically like you take a shape, you put another one in back of it and connect it with rectangles. Those are prisms. Now when we get to pyramids, pyramids start with a shape on the base, and then they grow to a point at the top. So if I start with a triangle shape on the base, and I grow to a point at the top, and I connect all these lines, this is a pyramid. Now this particular pyramid, we name it for its base. It's a triangle base, so we call it triangular pyramid. So that's a triangular pyramid. Now if I have a square base, and just because this is a three-dimensional figure, it's going to look more like a rectangle base, but it's a square, we'll say. And I join all of these up here. This would be a square pyramid. Now, you can do this with, so pyramids all grow to a point at the top. So that's what makes a pyramid a pyramid. And they're always named by their base. So I could have a pentagon at the base, and I would call that a pentagonal pyramid. Or I could have an octagon at the base and call it an octagonal pyramid. Okay, if I come back over here to prisms, and let's say that I had two octagons joined with rectangles in between them, so that would be an octagonal prism. So these have very, very common sense names. But what you need to realize is prisms have the same shape on the front, that triangle, and on the back, like that triangle, and they're joined together with rectangles. Pyramids have their shape they're named for at the base, and they all grow to a point on the top. So that's what makes the difference between prisms and pyramids. Well, I hope you have good luck with all of your shape naming in the future.